Hi everyone, I'm Swathi from Indiahikes and you're watching Trek with Swathi. Today we're doing a bit of a very different walk and talk on the streets around our Indiahikes office in Bangalore. And I have with me a senior trek leader at Indiahikes, one of the most senior, and a trainer at Indiahikes. But more than that, we know him as a treasure trove of information. He's a walking, talking encyclopedia when it comes to trekking, because he is not only well-read, he has traveled across the world, and you ask him any question about any trek in the world and he'll tell you without Googling it. That is Diptarka for you. So today I'm having a chat with him about a few aspects of what it's like trekking in India and outside, and I'm covering a few topics in this series. So let's take a look. So I want to ask you here, you've trekked extensively in India. In fact, you showed me a picture of you when you were, what, 7 or 8 years old at Deoryatal in 98.
It was in 1999 October.
99, fine. Okay. So I've seen you trekking across India and you have trekked across the world, like you've been sharing so many stories. What I want to know is how do the landscapes compare? Like in India, we believe we have a lot of variety. Every trek almost has like a beautiful forest section which lasts almost 4-5 hours, maybe many days sometimes, like at Pinbhaba. We have these beautiful meadows, you have these big mountains rising up all in one trek which lasts around 4 days, 25 kilometers, 30 kilometers, I say. So what is your observation of treks around the world? Where do they stand when it comes to this kind of variety and what we see in India?
I mean, I would say other parts of the world, they also have beautiful treks with a lot of varieties. But what I felt is like the amount, like the number of treks, the possibilities that we have in India, considering we have the highest percentage of Himalayas. Like if you see like starting from like the Trans-Himalayan region in Spiti and Ladakh, then the different type of terrain in Kashmir, then coming to other parts of Himachal, then Uttarakhand, everything shifts. And then like to the Eastern Himalayas in like the Darjeeling, Sikkim, further east to Arunachal Pradesh and all. There's a lot of variety in the vegetation, the flora and fauna. A lot of things changes in the Himalayas. But not only with the Himalayas, we see a lot of variety in like the lower part of India as well, like in the central India and the forests, in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, maybe like parts of western part of West Bengal as well. Then you come to south in Karnataka, in Maharashtra. There's so much of diversity in the terrain and all. So that's what I feel is like very rare in any countries. Like we have like places like very cold places like in like the higher parts of the Himalayas, as well as very like a lot of hot and humid places in the south, in the central Indian part. Then we have deserts in the northwestern part of our country, and that's what I feel like. It's diversity is at this level is not there in many countries.
Okay. What do you observe in other countries when you say diversity is not there?
So if I consider like a popular trekking destination like Nepal. Nepal, most of the like their mountains and all won't be having this much of diversity that they have. But Nepal is a small country. Now take for example a country like for example Canada maybe, or a lot of European countries. Their treks or like the nature that they have, not this much diverse.
Okay.
Like across the Alps, it will be kind of like a similar kind of vegetation. They don't have that much species of birds or as such. So that is something I've seen like in many countries. But there are certain countries which also have a lot of biodiversity, a lot of diversity in the landscapes, just like us. Maybe in a different way. Like for example, some of the countries that come to my mind, like for the first, like when I think of such countries, close to home, the first country would be like China. And China being very like a big
country. Which part of China?
So entire China. So China has a lot of varieties, starting from like they have some beautiful mountains in like the northern part of China, the Tibet Tibetan plateau is there. Then like southeastern part of China is completely different. So China has a lot of variety, and though they're like a very huge country in terms of population, China is kind of they have what do you say? Most of the countries, like the population is isolated in one region, like in the eastern and southeastern part, and most of the places like raw wilderness. So that's where China is there. Then next country that would come to my mind would be United States of America. United States of America has like they have a lot of like well protected national parks.
Yeah.
They have beautiful mountains, like they have the Rockies, the Appalachian Mountains. They have a lot of like this long distance through hiking trails, like the Pacific Crest Trail, the Appalachian Trail, and many more. And they actually had a very good culture of like putting up trails across. That is there. Then another country that would come to my mind is like a lot of countries, not just one country, like multiple countries across the Andes is actually very diverse. Starting with Argentina, because of its sheer size again. It is very close in size to India. So Argentina, because it's a big country, it has like a little tropical climate as well in certain parts. It has like the Antarctic, close to Antarctic climates in Patagonia. Then it has like the highest mountain in outside Asia is there in Argentina. So they have a lot of different type of terrain. They have like beautiful Ladakh kind of mountains in the north as well in Argentina.
Okay.
Then Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, Colombia. These all countries actually are very diverse in terms of like their biodiversity and the landscapes. And Mexico also to some extent would be little diverse. And that's it. I think I'm not much of a knowledge about like some African countries with that much diversity, because African countries usually wherever there are like glaciers and all, they're very less. So that's one thing. So most of the like places where I see like the opportunities are there with a lot of tropical as well as like temperate regions are there in Americas and Asia. Europe also has very less. Europe, most of the things are like very similar kind of terrain. Like if someone has done a trek in Kashmir, it won't be much of a difference what a person might experience in the nature wise in a Europe trek. Because when I did some hikes in Armenia and Georgia, I felt like it is very similar to like trekking in Kashmir maybe, through some forests in Kashmir, with the fall colors and all. Whereas like if I go to some place like in South America, it will actually differ a lot.
Okay.
Like there are places where like I've like trekked like along the ocean, and there are places like I'm trekking inside like the rainforest, and there are places where I'm trekking in like along on the glacier, through scree section, through moraines, through forests, so whatnot. So so that's what I felt like is like about the diversity that I have like from my research and from my experience that I have felt.
I really wish India would be celebrated more, you know. How do you think that can happen where India's landscapes, India's diversity like you're talking, how do you think that can be celebrated? Because there's so much potential there.
I think people like us only can celebrate it more. And with more and more Indians doing these treks, and if we kind of respect these places more, have this pride in this, because I've seen like a lot of these beautiful trails and all, there's a lot of like irresponsible littering and all which also happens. And that is one of the factors I feel like that kinds of hinders people coming to these places. But it is not only our country as well. I have seen a lot of littering in the trails happening in Nepal. Similarly, Indonesia, I've seen same problem. I have seen it in Peru and Bolivia as well. So it is something to do with like the civic sense of the people, and also something what the government can push in certain effort to enforce certain rules so that they are taken care of. So it's like everyone needs to be involved to make this happen.
So If I have to ask you your message for trekkers in India and outside the world, what would your message to them be? As you coming as a trekker with so much experience, what is your message to them?
I would say like India is probably one of the top few countries in the world to do treks, because I think very few countries across the world, I can just handfully like name like 5-6 countries maximum, which can have so much of diversity in terms of landscapes, and in the landscape the biodiversity and like the opportunity to do treks, India is like the top. And people should come and explore more and more treks in India.